What if I told you that two of the Middle East's most powerful enemies were once close allies? That Iran's Shah used to buy weapons from Israel, and Israeli intelligence helped train Iran's secret police? Today, these same nations are locked in what experts call a shadow war, fought through proxies, cyber attacks, and assassinations across multiple continents. But in April 2024, the shadows disappeared. Iran launched over 300 missiles and drones directly at Israel in the largest military attack between the two countries in history. So how did we get here? And more importantly, where is this headed? Stay with me, because the real story behind this conflict will change how you see the entire Middle East. The unlikely alliance. Our story begins in 1950, when something remarkable happened. Iran became the second Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel, just 2 years after Israel's founding. Under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Iran and Israel developed what intelligence historians call the Peripheral Alliance. The logic was simple: both countries felt surrounded by hostile Arab states, so they found common cause. By the 1970s, Iran was Israel's largest oil supplier. Israeli companies helped build Iran's infrastructure. Iranian pilots trained in Israel. And behind closed doors, Mossad and Savak, Iran's secret police, shared intelligence on Arab movements. The Shah even allowed Israeli submarines to use Iranian ports and permitted Israeli technicians to work on classified military projects. But this partnership had a fatal flaw: it depended entirely on one man staying in power. The revolution that changed everything. January 16, 1979. The Shah fled Iran, never to return. When Ayatollah Khomeini landed in Tehran on February 1, he didn't just overthrow a government, he declared war on the entire regional order. Within weeks, the Israeli embassy became the Palestinian embassy. Iranian oil to Israel stopped flowing. And Khomeini introduced a phrase that would define the next 4 decades: death to America, death to Israel. But here's what most people miss: this wasn't just religious extremism. It was geopolitical strategy. Khomeini understood that opposing Israel would instantly give Iran credibility across the Arab world. By championing the Palestinian cause, Iran, a Persian, Shiite nation, could lead the broader Middle East against what it called the Zionist regime. The transformation was complete. Iran's best friend had become its greatest enemy. Enter the proxies. Iran faced a problem: how do you fight Israel without starting a war you can't win? The answer came in 1985 with the creation of Hezbollah, the Party of God. Using Iran's Revolutionary Guards, Tehran trained, funded, and armed Shiite militants in Lebanon. These weren't just local fighters, they became Iran's most effective proxy force, carrying out attacks from Buenos Aires to Bulgaria. But Iran's proxy network went far beyond Hezbollah. In the 1990s, Iran began funding Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza, Sunni groups that ideologically opposed Iran but shared a common enemy. Think about the genius of this strategy. Iran could attack Israeli interests worldwide while maintaining plausible deniability. When Hezbollah killed 241 American servicemen in Beirut in 1983, Iran's fingerprints were all over it, but Iran wasn't officially responsible. This was the birth of what military analysts call the axis of resistance, Iran's network of proxy forces stretching from Yemen to Gaza to Lebanon. The nuclear dimension. By 2005, everything changed again. Iran's nuclear program, which had been dormant for years, suddenly accelerated. Iran claimed it was for peaceful energy. But Israeli intelligence painted a different picture: a crash program to build nuclear weapons within a decade. Israel's response was swift and sophisticated. Between 2010 and 2012, at least 4 Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated, most likely by Mossad agents using remote-controlled bombs and motorcycles. Then came Stuxnet, the world's first cyber weapon. This computer virus, developed jointly by Israel and the United States, physically destroyed nearly 1,000 Iranian centrifuges by making them spin out of control. But perhaps the most dramatic moment came in 2018, when Israeli agents literally broke into a warehouse in Tehran and stole Iran's entire nuclear archive, half a ton of documents proving Iran had lied about its nuclear ambitions. The message was clear: Israel would do whatever it takes to prevent an Iranian bomb. The shadow war heats up. The Syrian civil war gave Iran an unprecedented opportunity. Under the cover of supporting Assad, Iran moved thousands of fighters and sophisticated weapons to within miles of Israel's border. Israel's response? Over 400 airstrikes in Syria since 2017, targeting Iranian weapons convoys, bases, and personnel. But the conflict spread beyond Syria. In 2019, mysterious explosions began hitting oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. Iran blamed Israel. Israel blamed Iran. Both were probably right. By 2021, the shadow war had gone maritime. Israeli and Iranian ships were attacking each other in international waters, creating a new front in their decades-long conflict. Then came the drone revolution. Both countries began using sophisticated UAVs to strike each other's assets across the region, making the conflict increasingly unpredictable. April 2024, the shadows disappear. April 13, 2024, 9:15 p.m. local time. Air raid sirens wailed across Israel as something unprecedented happened. Iran launched a direct attack on Israeli territory. Over 300 drones and missiles streaked across the night sky in what Iran called Operation True Promise. For the first time in 45 years, Iran had abandoned its proxy strategy and attacked Israel directly. Most projectiles were intercepted by Israel's lead defense systems, supported by American, British, and French forces. But the psychological impact was immense. The shadow war had become a real war. Israel's retaliation was swift but measured, precision strikes on Iranian military targets, designed to send a message without triggering all-out war. But here's what really happened. Both sides had crossed red lines they'd maintained for decades. The rules of the game had fundamentally changed. What's next? So where does this leave us? Today, Iran and Israel are locked in what experts call the competition short of war, a dangerous game where both sides seek to hurt each other without triggering a conflict that could reshape the Middle East. The stakes couldn't be higher. Regional stability, nuclear proliferation, and the security of global energy supplies all hang in the balance. Understanding this conflict isn't just about history, it's about predicting the future. Because in a region where yesterday's allies become tomorrow's enemies, the only constant is change. And if you want to understand more conflicts that are shaping our world, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because the stories behind the headlines are always more complex than they appear.